a fellow from Ohio named Robert Daniels. "Is there something on your mind, Mr. Daniels?" Daniels looked stunned at first, but then he let out a breath and said with a red face, "Well, yes, there is, if you don't mind me asking. Are you the Cray Dawson who had the shootout with the Talberts in Brackett Flats?" It had already started, Dawson reminded himself. "Yes, I am," he said reluctantly, going back to the coffee, raising it to his lips hoping the questions would stop there. But he knew that wouldn't be the case. "My goodness, Mr. Dawson," said Daniels, pulling his wire-rimmed spectacles down the bridge of his nose, taking a closer look at Dawson above the thick lenses. "It certainly is an honor meeting you. We heard all about the fight, and we heard how you had also shot 3 gunmen over in Turkey Creek." Dawson said quietly, "2 of those men I shot in Turkey Creek weren't involved in the gunplay. One got shot by a second-hand bullet. The other was a part of his who drew on me. I wish I hadn't shot him, but I can't change it." "Well," said Daniels, as if he hadn't heard a word about the particulars surrounding the shooting, "it takes nerves of iron to face even 1 man with a gun, I'm sure, let alone 2 or 3. He nodded at the other surveyors for support. They nodded in agreement. One asked, "What was it like standing side by side with Fast Larry Shaw?" "I'd known Shaw for years," said Dawson. "We grew up together in Somos Santos, rode herd together soon as we were big enough to lift a rope. So I reckon I never gave it much thought, riding with him this time." "My goodness," said Daniels, repeating himself. "You rode a vengeance trail with the fastest gun alive and thought nothing of it? That in itself says a lot about you. You are quite a gunman, sir, and I salute you. Indeed, we all salute you. Right, fellows?" Heads nodded vigorously. "With all respect, Mr. Daniels," said Cray Dawson, "I'm no gunman. I'm just a regular fella who joined a friend in search of the men who killed his wife. We found them, and we held them accountable for what they did. Now it's over, and I'm headed home. This time next month I'll probably be sticking green horses or watching cattle swat flies off their rumps." "Mr. Dawson, I'm sure you are much too modest," said Daniels. The surveyors nodded in unison again. This time their eyes fixed intently on Dawson, awaiting his response. But Cray Dawson made no reply. He finished his coffee and sat in silence for a moment, staring into the empty cup. "Well..." Then he stood up, set the empty coffee cup on a shelf and said, "Much obliged for the coffee and food. I'll take my leave now." "But, Mr. Dawson," said Daniels, "it's still storming something awful out there. You're welcome to spend the night. We'd be greatly honored to say a famous gunman like you stayed here in the rail camp. You'll likely find nothing but floods and washouts twixt here and the Quemado Valley." "Thanks all the same," said Dawson. "I'd best get on." To avoid answering questions that held no meaning to him and discussing events he'd sooner forget, Cray Dawson rode his horse up a narrow, mud-slick path and made a camp in the deep shelter of a cliff overhang. At length, the fury of the storm passed, but in its wake heavy rain fell straight down with no sign of let-up. Across the wide belly of the valley, churning water rushed along filled with deadfall oak, scrub pine, and mesquite brush. Twice in the night, Dawson awakened to the unrelenting sound of water pounding the endless land. And twice in the night, he again fell asleep to the explosion of gunfire in his memory, and to the sound of men dying. By daylight, the pounding rain had reduced itself to a thin, steady drizzle. Dawson rode high above the valley through a dull gray copper morning. With the collar of his rain slicker turned high in back, and his Stetson bowed low on his forehead, he kept to the higher ridges and broken hillsides until, by late afternoon,